स्पीकर ऑन करने की। हेलो हेलो।
Hello.
हेलो हेलो।
안녕하세요. Going to use of this thing.
And I'm Ayushi.
And we have gathered here today to celebrate the 14th Foundation Day of IIT Bhubaneswar.
Let us begin by welcoming the chief guest for today's event, Dr. Rajgopal Chidambaram, DAE Homi Bhabha Chair Professor, our guest of honor, Professor Dhanush Mishra, former Chairman of Board of Governors, IIT Dhanbad, Professor R.V. Rajakumar, Honorable Director, IIT Bhubaneswar, Professor Saroj Kumar Nayak, Dean of Faculty and Planning, Professor P.V. Satyam, Dean of Student Affairs, and Mr. Debaraj Rath, Registrar, IIT Bhubaneswar. I would now like to invite our honorable dignitaries to occupy the seats on the dais. I also take pleasure in welcoming the distinguished guests from DRDO, including Mr. P.K. Mehta, DG ACE, and other members, Director PXC, Director ARDE, and Professor D. Acharya. I would also like to welcome the guests from media and press who have joined us here today.
Dignitaries on the dais, distinguished invitees, faculty and staff members, our student community, and all those who have joined us here and virtually. It is indeed a privilege to be standing here today to welcome you all to this event. We express our heartfelt gratitude to our honorable chief guest for his virtual presence. I now request the student volunteers to present the flower bouquets to the dignitaries on the dais.
Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya, which means lead me from the path of light towards truth, from darkness towards light. So with this spirit, I would now like to invite our honorable dignitaries to initiate the lighting of the lamp ceremony.
I request our honorable director, sir, to welcome the gathering on this special occasion.
Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rajagopala Chidambaram, the former scientific advisor, Government of India, Professor Dhanush Mishra, the former chairperson, Board of Governors, IIT ISM Dhanbad, Professor Damodar Acharya, former chairman AICT, Dr. Praveen Kumar Mehta, DG DRDO, his colleagues from DRDO, Director PXC, and other esteemed colleagues from DRDO, esteemed faculty colleagues, staff, students, representatives and friends from media, both print and electronic, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the inaugural program of the 14th Foundation Day ceremony of IIT Bhubaneswar. It is on this day, about 13 years back, in 2009, the foundation stone of the campus was laid in a very large campus of 936 acres. There has been a fast development that took place at this institute, and today we are here completely in this institute, functioning fully from this campus. In 2015, we took a bold decision to make the first movement to the campus. It is in fact on 18th July 2015, we made the first movement and completed the movement of the institute to the new campus by 14th July 2018. The campus was dedicated to the nation by Sri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Prime Minister of India, from this very campus itself. Thereafter, the institute has been growing, and today it stands with an infrastructure of about 3.14 lakh square meters. From a recent visit from ministry, it was learnt that Bhubaneswar is now about 50% more than its sister institutions in terms of infrastructure, and it is still growing. The campus infrastructure was supposed to be completed in 2019. However, like the typical scenario existing at other campuses as well, the constructions were delayed. Completion of the infrastructure was delayed due to somewhat lesser amount of manpower deployment from the construction agencies. Despite that, the institute could grow very well, and despite being the second largest in terms of intake as well as the student strength amongst all the second generation IITs, today we, for the last 4 years, we have been offering single-seated accommodations to the students, which is a unique feature amongst the 23 IITs. So infrastructure, the essential infrastructure has been given priority, and because of that, the institute could perform ahead, playing the role of a leader amongst the institutions. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you some of the achievements of this institute, which have been really put up and which have been achieved during the last couple of years, and especially the last 6 months. As we are all aware, the whole world is passing through the pandemic, and the pandemic was struck all of a sudden. The biggest challenge the institute faced was to offer its academics as per usual standards despite the pandemic. The institute did put up a lot of innovations and has been fairly successful in offering education at uncompromised and highly resilient standards during the last 2 years. Be it switching to online education with zero gap, or holding examinations with comprehensive examinations with pen and paper without a need for discovering or putting up a different type of grade in our academic regulations. And on top of everything, we could offer education on time, like in the earlier times. Our students rated online education at 70% of effectiveness of the education with physical presence. But for that difference, we could do everything at usual standards, and this is a very significant achievement. We also conducted the laboratory classes in a very innovative way, in a hybrid mode. In normal classes, we did organize the laboratories too, with demonstrations made and streaming to the students by the faculty members. Subsequently, the students were provided with the hands-on training, and with which there was no shortfall. The institute ensured that there was no shortfall in the hands-on training of the students. All these endeavors have been very successfully implemented, and we are able to continue that so far till now. Soon after the first wave of the pandemic gave us the passage, we could bring about 70% of the students to the campus and completed their hands-on laboratory practice. Soon after that, so the second wave, we were hit by the second wave of pandemic, and it restrained us from calling the rest 30% of the students to the campus. However, by the end of the second wave, we were successful in bringing all the batches of students to the campus and completed our commitments for education. More than 90% of the students were back in the campus, 95% of students were back in the campus and could attend to the various academic activities with physical presence. But there was we also started running our academics with physical presence of students. But thereafter, so all of us were hit by the third wave of COVID-19. So because of which we did permit a section of our students to go to homes. But throughout the entire third wave, more than 85% of the students stayed back in the campus. And from the beginning of this current week, we again resumed classes with physical presence. There were a small percentage of active cases during the third wave and at the peak of the second wave, but without the need for any the hospitalization, and the situation has always been very comfortable. For most of the months, the campus was COVID-free, and it was maintained at 0 cases level. We organized 23 drives of vaccination. We could vaccinate the entire community, including all stakeholders, very holistically, and because of which we could take up some aggressive steps in bringing the students to the campus and running the academics with physical presence, etc. So in this endeavor, there were in many of the institute employees, including faculty, staff, and students who worked very hard towards achieving this merit, and they all must be complimented on this occasion. The institute has been doing extremely well. So in terms of placing the students, we have done at a level nothing short of the senior IITs, and so far 80% of the undergraduate students are already placed, and more than 60% of the postgraduate students have also been placed. and there is a rise by 15 to 20% compared to last year. It is a very healthy trend to note that across all the IITs, not only IIT Bhubaneswar and across all the IITs, during the pandemic, in fact, the recruitments went up, showing a very healthy sign of resilience for the economy and the confidence of the industry in the nation. So on the nation like that. So that's how things have continued while trying to make this institution to be placed itself amongst the cream of global class of institutions for generating outstanding graduates and for generating new knowledge. We have taken up several steps to have high degree of national relevance and relevance at local level as well. We took several initiatives. For the last 4 years, we have been working on developing and creating expertise in integrated circuit chip design at this institute. We could achieve some significant successes in this front. And the first set of integrated circuits designed at this institutes have arrived at were received by the institute very recently. One of the chipsets were developed here at this institute and designed here at the institute and then taped out to Semiconductor Complex Limited. So using the 180 nanometer technology, and these were received recently. So these chips are completely indigenous chips. These apart, we have also taped out some IoT devices to TSMC, and these chips are also supposed to be arriving within a couple of months. There are future plans which are happening in this direction, and we are advancing very fast in this direction. All of you would agree that the integrated circuit chip designing is symbolic to the high technology development in a region. And this assumes special significance since these are the first set of successful designs that have come from this region. We're also working on the technology aspects of this, and strong actions have been taken on the nanotechnology front, including the process technology for the semiconductor chips. With this, I would like to confidently claim that IIT Bhubaneswar could initiate a good degree of creating an ecosystem for chip designs and development in our hinterland, that is Odisha and the parts of the neighboring states. We would be taking on this endeavor forward and helping would like to help the industry, whichever industry that would be coming to this region. Similarly, I would like to mention about yet another technology where we have made significant advances in the recent past. As many of you may be aware, augmented and virtual reality is one area where the world is moving forward, and it is very important that a nation like ours, a country like ours, take up an advanced steps in this direction and see that the manufacturing takes place and there is manpower available in this country. So we have been engaged in carrying out a lot of research work in this direction. We are also trying to hold several competitions and see that the innovative product designs happen in this area, and also enterprises come up to make their beginning in this area. So this endeavor is another endeavor which is unique to IIT Bhubaneswar, and I'm sure we would be leading this activity, this very important futuristic activity in this country. Well, there is a place for several institutions to do well in nanotechnology and its different applications by the side of the microscience and micro technologies. And the institute is doing a good amount of research in this area with a lot of emphasis placed therein. Energy and water continue to be of importance across the globe. Therefore, the Institute continues to work on the energy materials and trying to come up with next generation energy storage devices and hybrid, and also in coming out with hybrid and renewable energy resources and mechanisms. Very recently, the Institute distributed about 15 solar-powered, movable solar-powered pump sets across the state of Odisha. I'm sure this endeavor will spread further, and very soon we will find in every rural area this kind of pumps working and helping the farmers. These apart, so we're also trying to establish microgrids, isolated microgrids, which can also be connected to the grid in rural areas and which can function very efficiently and support low-cost solar power generation units in isolated rural areas. There are several such activities happening with a high degree of emphasis at this institution. We are also going to start a course on electric mobility, a master's course on electric mobility. Very soon, yet another course on nanoscience and technology. And having learned, certainly during the pandemic, that we need to provide a higher level of importance to the biosciences and bioengineering, if I generalize it. We are also thinking of going to start rather a program, a postgraduate program in bioengineering at this institute. So there are several such initiatives which are initiated or taken up at this institute, and we are all engaged in that direction. This kind of achievements for a new generation institute wouldn't have been possible but for a full support from the faculty, staff, and the students of this institute. I would like to share with you that as director of this institute, I've been facing extremely high level of support from our faculty, staff, as well as students, and we have a very healthy atmosphere in this students. Having brought so many students, about 95% of the students to the campus, and having a winter break in between, we encouraged our students to stay back in the campus instead of going to their homes and facing themselves to the third wave of COVID. A large percentage of them indeed stayed back, and not only they did that, they themselves organized a couple of sports events and couple of socio-cultural events at very high standards, and possibly it is the IIT Bhubaneswar's has been the only student gymkhana that could organize events of this proportion amongst all the 23 IITs. The students rose well, they themselves protected and saw to it that the COVID protocols are followed by all the participants, and they conducted these events at an extremely high level. It's a very dynamic campus. It has been a very dynamic campus amongst the third wave of COVID. At the same time, it protected itself extremely well from the onslaught of COVID. In a short while from now, we would be felicitating some of our faculty, staff, and students who have put up a meritorious service and in their functioning at this institute. I am very much thankful to Dr. Rajagopala Chidambaram for agreeing to be amongst us this morning and addressing everyone in this event, which is being organized in a hybrid mode. We have only a fraction of the audience here, while a large fraction of the IIT fraternity is engaged onto this program and is engaged to watch this program and participate in the program through online means. We also thank Professor Dhanush Mishra, a well-wisher of this institute, and has been gracing this campus as and when possible and encouraging us all through for his presence with family on this occasion. So Professor Damodaracharya was the mentoring director of this institute. I think it is when he was mentoring this institute, the foundation stone was laid. And he keeps on visiting us and encouraging us in all our endeavors, and thanks to Professor Acharya for his presence. Similarly, from DRDO, the friends are here to encourage us. We're thankful. Dr. Praveen Kumar and other colleagues for gracing this occasion to join us in these celebrations. So certainly on this occasion, I would like to compliment all the faculty, staff, and students of this institute. And on all of your behalf, I would like to spell out our resolve to rise at extremely fast pace and go through a healthy growth, to place ourselves in such a way that we serve the aspirations of the nation to have institutions of the cream of global class in our land at the earliest. So lots of initiatives which were taken in this direction have been successful over the last 7 or 8 years. And I'm sure these successes would give us the positive energy to further move ahead in all directions. Okay. So with this, I welcome every one of you once again to this auspicious event of the 14th Foundation Day ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful address. I would now like to invite Professor P.V. Satyam, Dean of Student Affairs, to announce the student awardees.
Good morning to one and all who are present in the CC in physical presence, and also our dear students, faculty, staff, and the special invitees who are also watching this program online. This is probably one of the toughest job to announce the student awards. Selection being the selecting the student award is also a tough job. There are several students, I must say, that really did wonderful job and one did excelled in online competitions, though it's a pandemic session. And some people venture out and also won the laurels. But what we thought is that this time the biggest problem or biggest issue, biggest challenge which we faced was the pandemic situation, as you all know, and being probably the only IIT with 95% students around, having a winter break and staying with us, chatting each other and patting each other doing great winter games, and maintaining all these things during this pandemic requires a great effort by all of you. But we thought we give awards to two representatives. It is not actually, don't take it as an individual awards, take it as a representative awards. So I request the first award, the Director's Commendation for the year 2021 is awarded to Mr. Swapnil Moore, Vice President Gymkhana, for meritorious performance in discharging his duties during pandemic. Please. So the second representative is the Director's Commendation for the year 2021 is awarded to Ms. Ravya, General Secretary GHR, and also she played a very good role in CPMT as a leader for the meritorious performance in discharging her duties during pandemic. Ms. Ravya, please come. Thank you, students. It's actually, as I said, representative. The awards here for all of you, not just for those two of you. So the next time probably we'll have much more elaborate way. Thank you.
So as we celebrate our Foundation Day today, we also celebrate one of the core things of the Institute, which is the teaching excellence. And these awards are purely based on students' feedback. So as I announce names, I would request my colleagues to come to the stage and receive these awards. And there are 4 categories. So the first category we call Teaching Excellence Award for the best performance in the small size. The class size is considered between 20 to 60. Goes to Dr. Siddharth Suroj Barkoti.
The next one, Teaching Excellence Award for the best performance in the medium size, that is between 60 to 100 students in the class, goes to Dr. Rajakumar Guduru. The next one is the Teaching Excellence Award for the best performance in the large size, that is the class size 100 and above, goes to Dr. Srinivas Bhaskar Karanki. The final one, the Teaching Excellence Award for the best performance over all the class category goes to Dr. Nizam Wari. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And heartfelt congratulations to all the awardees. I would now like to invite Mr. Debaraj Rath, Registrar, IIT Bhubaneswar, to announce the awards for outstanding services.
Good morning, all. Respected dignitaries, yes. A lot of people, they have already contributed in the past and they have been awarded. They've been felicitated in the staff category. Last year also, 2021, despite pandemic, many of the staff members and officers, they have given shown their exemplary services in the growth of the institute and contributed a lot. So we'd like to felicitate a few of them who have shown real spirit in contributing in the growth of the institute. So first of all, I'd like to invite Director's Commendation Award to receive Director's Commendation Award, Dr. Mansoor Ahmad Khan and his entire medical team for their contribution in the growth of the institute and exemplary services in containing these pandemic situations. Next, Director's Commendation goes to Sri Pradeep Kumar Podar, who is our sanitary inspector of the institute, for keeping the institute neat and clean. The last but not the least, the person who has always been there in the guest house to host our n number of guests, and that too in a very short notice also. He has been there, tirelessly done a lot of work and in feeding all of us and our guests and with a good and very hygienic food. The person is Mr. Ajay Kumar Kandi of Guest House. Master. Thank you.
Moving on, I would like to invite the Dean of Student Affairs to introduce the chief guest for today's event.
Yes. So good morning, Professor Chidambaram. Good morning from Institute of Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. It's indeed a great pleasure. Indeed a great pleasure, and I feel really privileged to introduce Dr. Rajgopal Chidambaram. Actually, I'm very fortunate to be here and to tell about him, particularly because personally I feel that he has been my guru and also is our guru in the sense of extra-crystallographer. We had my first degree, that is a certificate in advanced physics, was received from him. Not only that, I also was my PhD thesis examiner. So I got my degree PhD degree also from him. So indeed, I feel that it's really a privilege to introduce him on this occasion. Many of you know him. If you see this PPT, I think many of you remember this 1998 Operation Shakti program, where the DRDO and DAE played a big role. And you see Dr. Chidambaram there with explaining to our Prime Minister, late Prime Minister Vajpayee. And now I see that DRDO is also here representing this one. It's a nice gesture. So Dr. Rajgopal Chidambaram became the director of BRC, that is Bhabha Atomic Research Center, in 1990. He was the chairman, Atomic Energy Commission, from 1993 to 2000. He was the principal scientific advisor to the Government of India and the chairman of the Scientific Advisory Committee to the Cabinet from 2001 to 2018, 17 years continuously. He is present. Actually, you see the fruitfulness of all these science and technology programs were done during those times. As a Scientific Advisory Committee, he has done quite a lot of things. Dr. Chidambaram has made important contribution to many aspects of our nuclear technology. He has DSc degree, that's honoris causa, from 30 universities from India and abroad. He has more than 200 research publications in referred journals, and all his research work has been in India. That's the most important thing. Actually, he's very instrumental in the crystallography area, is very well known for us. He was the chairman of the Board of Governors of the IIEA during 94-95. During 1999, he was the member of the Executive Committee of the International Union of Crystallography, which I said some time back is actually, all the extra crystallographers in India will owe him a lot. He was also instrumental in bringing up a synchrotron center in Indore. And also he was the last 3 years as a vice president in International Union of Crystallography. He has been chairman board of governors of IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, and member Space Commission. Currently, Dr. Chidambaram is the chairman board of governors of IIT Jodhpur and also IIT Delhi. Dr. Chidambaram, as you see, each one of us know very well, known to all of us. And here in this photograph, we see that with Dr. Abdul Kalam is present. He is also in another photograph. You see him in the uniform also. Here we see him in the uniform, where actually they were in a, they were in disguise or whatever you call, that we know all the stories, and the Paramanu movie is also made upon them, this story. So, with his kind of work, naturally, he has several fellowships in his name. So he is a fellow of all major science academies in India, and also the National Academy of Engineering, and the third world and the World Academy of Sciences, Trieste, Italy. He has received many awards and honors. Notably among them are C.V. Raman Birth Century Award of the Indian Science Congress Association in 1995, the Distinguished Material Scientist of the Year Award with the MRSI, the Material Research Society of India, in 1996, R.D. Birla Award of the Indian Physics Association in 1996, and several lifetime achievement award. To name it actually takes a lot of time, but more importantly also, Dr. Chidambaram was awarded the Padma Vibhushan, the second highest civilian award of India, in 1999 itself. And he was 11 years old when the Indian became independent in 1947. So he has been contributing immensely to Indian science and technology. He initiative as a principal scientific advisor to Government of India include the setting up of core advisory groups for R&D in various technology sectors, the creation of the rural technology action groups centered in 7 IITs, the establishment of Society for Electronic Transactions and Security, which we see all the benefits now, helping nucleate the centers of excellence in nanoelectronics and the national knowledge network, and initiating an R&D program on the design of advanced ultra supercritical thermal plant through a consortium of IZCAR, Bell and NTPC, which has now been completed. I can go on, but I don't want to be between you and the speaker today, guest speaker today. Really, we're all very fortunate. He has agreed, and we are very eagerly looking for his talk. Dr. Chidambaram, it's a great pleasure. Please join us and inspire us as usual, as you do always. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Professor Rajkumar, Professor Dhanush Mishra, Professor Satyam, members of the faculty and other academic bodies of the institute, and my young friends. Can you have that? I'll just, please tell me if you are able to see the slides. Are you able to see the slides? Professor Rajkumar, are you able to?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yes, sir. We are able to see it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
No, this is the Amrit Mahotsav year. So I thought I'll talk to you about the achievements in Indian science and technology, from Raman effect to nuclear power, and also our becoming a space power. Actually, I want India to become a knowledge economy, economically developed, scientifically advanced, and militarily strong. Because I've always said that national development and national security are two sides of the same coin. Development without security is vulnerable. Security without development is, of course, meaningless. And that is why we want India to be a knowledge economy in the fullest sense of the term. It's a great pleasure to be here in IIT Bhubaneswar. You heard from the director about the recent achievements of IIT Bhubaneswar and the future plans, particularly how they have done so well during these very difficult COVID times, including excellent placements during these years. And I was particularly happy to see his comments on his ideas on the semiconducting fab. One area India has not developed as well as we wanted. So we have tried, apart from the Semiconductor Complex Limited, should have had much bigger, much more extensive semiconductor fab facilities. But now this is, the government is very aware of it, and hopefully this will come up, and I'm sure IIT Bhubaneswar will also make a contribution to this. Of course, we are proud of the IIT system. IIT Bhubaneswar is a relatively young IIT, but if you read literature from your web, you aim to be a globally recognized for creating outstanding graduates and new knowledge. Want to do world-class interdisciplinary research and yet be locally relevant. This was also mentioned by our director. Develop and pursue academic, dynamic and flexible curricula designed to facilitate creativity and cognitive thinking among students. And of course, you are trying to enhance interaction with the academies. IIT Bhubaneswar is also part of the Bhubaneswar City Knowledge Innovation Cluster. I'll show you a slide on this. One of such clusters started by the PSA's office. We had started doing this part of when I was the PSA for enhancing academia industry interactions. Can you go next slide? You know, India celebrates 4 days in science and technology. Science Day, February 28, the day Raman announced the discovery of the Raman effect. Raman, the greatest experimental physicist India has produced. Mathematics Day, the birthday of the Srinivasa Ramanujan, the natural magical genius. Engineers Day, the birthday of Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya, the greatest engineer, civil engineer India has produced. And the first day of the May 98 test has been declared a technology day. Coming to Raman, see, it's very interesting that when the Nobel Award was given to Raman, and this is his own write-up on that, he saw it as a personal achievement for me and my collaborators. But when I sat in that crowded hall and I saw the sea of Western faces surrounding me, and I, the only Indian in my turban and close coat, it dawned on me that I was really representing my people and my country. But you see, the interesting thing is, I've seen Raman talk, because when I was a student, PhD student, Indian Institute of Science, we used to go to Raman Institute, which was nearby. He was a very tough, strong person. He saw that he had been sitting under the British Union Jack. And it was then that I realized that my poor country, India, did not even have a flag of our own. And as I told you, he was a very strong man, but he had a complete breakdown. Today, 74 years after independence, you young people in the audience, also the older people, huge opportunities which people in those days never had. And it is our duty, your duty, everybody's duty, to convert India into a knowledge economy. See, look at the motivation of those scientists. There's an excellent biography of S. Chandrasekhar, the great astrophysicist, written by Kameshwar Wali. And Wali asked Chandrasekhar, how is it that India produced world-class scientists like C. V. Raman, Satyendranath Bose in the 1920s? And Chandrasekhar says in the 20s, there was a need for self-expression as a part of the national movement, to show the West that in their own realm we were equal to them. And once Raman announced his discovery, you know, the Sommerfeld, who laid the foundation for quantum mechanics, said India had suddenly emerged in competitive research as an equal partner with the European and American sisters. Today, the motivation should be to make India a developed country and a knowledge economy, and we have done quite a bit over the years, and that is what I'm going to talk about today. Homi Bhabha, founder of the Atomic Energy Program. You know, there is an excellent book by Arthur Koestler, and in that book, he talks of two kinds of leaders, the yogi and the commissar. The yogi and the commissar. Yogi is the contemplative thinker, and commissar is the man of action. All leaders are actually a mixture of both of these, yogi and the commissar. But Homi Jahangir Bhabha was special. You know, many leaders, when they pass away, the entire system they had built up collapses. But Homi Bhabha created a leadership swarm around him. Raja Ramanna for physics, Homi Setna chemical engineering, Brahm Prakash metallurgy, A.S. Rao electronics. And they were leaders in their own right. So even though, which was a very sad, tragic air crash in 1966, at this very young age of 56 years, because of the leadership swarm that Baba had created, the atomic energy program has continued to flourish. You know, Baba was actually a theoretical high energy physicist, and he has done pioneering work in Cambridge, Baba scattering, cosmic rays, but he started this technology program. And India was so well known, thanks to Baba, that he was the president of the first Geneva conference on the peaceful uses of atomic energy in 1955. He was fond of music, you know, yet there was a artistic part of him. He himself was a painter and he liked opera music. And normally all these international agencies go to Geneva. But he brought it to Vienna because Vienna is famous for operas. Next. Now Vikram Sarabhai. So Vikram Sarabhai was introduced into the space program by Dr. Bhabha. I wrote this article on Vikram Sarabhai in Physics News and I quote Ramanna there. Vikram Sarabhai, as many of you, most of you know, founded the space program. So Raja Ramanna says, must have been very few people in the world who had the command of pure science, modern technology, industrial experience, and yet had the humility of a Gandhi. Now you see, there is many articles and statements on leadership, but I like this one by Lao Tzu, Chinese philosopher of the 6th, 7th century BC. A leader is best when his work is done, his aim fulfilled. The people he leads will say, we did it ourselves. Sarabhai was one such leader. And he himself has said, one wants permissive individuals who do not have a compelling need to reassure themselves that they are leaders. They are leaders because they are accepted as such, not that they flaunt their power as leaders. Next. Great Srinivasa Ramanujan, born in an Orthodox Iyengar family. It's an enigma. Short life, 32 years. Left behind famous notebooks, 4,000 theorems, without proof. And the mathematician G.H. Hardy says that practically no mistakes at all. And people like George Andrews, who discovered one of the lost notebooks, says that this has been a boon to generations of great mathematicians. He didn't write the proofs, probably they were obvious to him, because in our Shruti statements are made without any proofs, whatever it is. The boon, because so many people got their PhDs proving the theorems, or did even without PhD, famous work. And as Nobel laureate Chandrasekhar says, as long as people have mathematics, the work of Ramanujan will continue to be appreciated. Usko nikal dena. Can you remove that? Next slide. See, this is a review of the book on Ramanujan, the man who knew infinity, from a Hebrew Professor Dror from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. I'll talk about artificial intelligence a little later. And many people feel, that these artificial intelligence based robots will one day take over the world, but I don't believe that. And Dror says, Ezekiel Dror, that he talks about this, namely trying to make super intelligent robots, and he compares it to Ramanujan. He says, this brings me to current efforts to spawn robots with artificial general intelligence and super intelligence. But, he adds, no enhancement of human intelligence opens a door to become a Ramanujan. And no algorithm is likely to produce robots with the abilities of a Ramanujan. That's why he's called the magical super genius. Next. See, I talked about the achievements in Indian science and technology. We have made a lot of contributions in basic research. Very good basic research scientists are here. But we have also made it in technology areas, nuclear and space. And Nuclear Manav, then Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, commenting on India's three-stage program. Three-stage nuclear power program. First stage, heavy water reactors using natural uranium. Prepare plutonium in that. Second stage, which is going on now in Kalpakkam, use this plutonium to build fast breeder reactors, which converts thorium to uranium-233, which is also an excellent fissile fuel. That will become the third stage, the uranium-233 thorium cycle. Talking about this, he says, India is an inspiration for many developing countries. He is the forefront of technology development in the nuclear sector, not least in area of fast reactors and related fuel cycles. And India has an excellent record on safety. You know, on December 28, December 2018, one of the units of Kaiga Power Station in Karnataka broke the world record for continuous operation, 941 days, which was held till then by a British reactor. And I always say, whether it's your personal car or any other complex system like a reactor, reliability and safety goes together. If a car doesn't give you trouble with clutch and brake and whatever steering, unlikely it will get into an accident. And if a reactor, and this is more or less the case with all our reactors, if they work so reliably for such a long period, that itself is an indication of the safety of our nuclear reactor. Next. See, there is a very nice book by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. He's the guy who introduced the word black swan. Black swan is an unexpected event because you expect the swan to be white. The black swan is an unexpected event with serious consequences. And he has introduced a new word, anti-fragile. See, robust are things which resist shocks and still remain the same. Fragile are the things that break down under stress. Anti-fragile are things which gets better and better under stress. Like, you know, pathogens which are antibiotic resistant. You kill pathogens with antibiotics, but sometimes they develop resistance. You can't do anything about it. Indian culture has been anti-fragile, resisted attacks on it. And I have said this too also for nuclear programs. We have resisted and overcome the shocks of technology denial. In fact, I have said it in some other context that self-reliance is not trying to do everything yourself. If you are building a complex system, nobody in the world tries to do everything in their own country. They take subsystems from around the world. But if anything is denied to you, you must have the ability to do it yourself. That's what when I was Director BARC, I used to say, build a complex system. Subsystems available to you from a reliable source. Go ahead and use them. But if anything is denied to you, including the proverbial wheel, you must have the ability to do it yourself. So that's when I define self-reliance as immunity against technology denial. India is no longer a small country or a vulnerable country. We must leverage international cooperation to strengthen our own initiatives. We must have partnerships, international partnerships, but as an equal partner. Next slide. See now, of course, energy is very, very important for growth. I've shown that Human Development Index monotonically dependent upon per capita electricity consumption. And India has per capita electricity consumption in India must go up by at least 6 to 8 times before India can become a developed country. Now, while we look for this energy security, we have also got to worry about global warming, climate change. That is why the International Panel on Climate Change says we must go for energy technologies which don't emit carbon dioxide. That's called mitigation. Key measures to achieve mitigation goals, including development of renewable energy, nuclear, and carbon capture and storage, including bioenergy, including forestation. Forests are the best ones. They capture carbon dioxide. In fact, give you oxygen in exchange. But next 20, 30 years, we are going to be burning coal. And here, when I was a PSA, we started this program, Advanced Ultra Supercritical Thermal Plant. The R&D project has been completed in March last year. You are able to take the steam to 700 degrees centigrade. The higher you use any cycle, the higher the temperature, the higher is the efficiency. That means for the same power, you emit lower carbon dioxide, less carbon. And of course, nobody has yet built, but we want to be one of the leaders in this advanced ultra supercritical thermal plant. Next slide. See, today we all want India to be a leader in advanced technology. But all advanced technologies are multidisciplinary. Build a nuclear power plant, space launch vehicle, advanced fighter aircraft, and as like in DRDO or in missiles. They are examples of multidisciplinary capability. Capabilities are within an institution. All the capabilities. But if you build something like an advanced ultra supercritical thermal plant, no institution has all the capabilities. BHEL can build the equipment. NTPC can run the utility, build the plant. But if you want to take the steam to 700 degrees, you see most of the power engineering equipment built based on technology transfer. Since nobody has built such a plant, no such technology is available and materials are not available. That's why we brought in the Indragandhi Center for Atomic Research. And this, as I said, March last year, we have done all the legwork for an 800 megawatt advanced supercritical thermal plant. See, if you build giant projects, no one country can build it. It's going to the other side, whether it's basic research or whether it's technology. And India is in many of them, but as I said before, as an equal partner. So I'll come back to this, but Pokhran was mentioned. This was a team effort, and we had a major collaboration with one of the DRDO labs, Terminal Ballistics Research Lab in Chandigarh. Now, if you want to make explosive lenses, you can design them, but building and testing with all the quire, flash, X-ray, streaming, all that can be done only in TBRL. Of course, we have to have capabilities in a range of disciplines: explosive ballistic, shock physics, condensed matter physics, material science, nuclear physics, reactor physics, similar to reactor physics, neutron physics, radiation, hydrodynamics. Really big if you want to build a thermonuclear device. radiation matter interaction, advanced electronics, and so on. And all these capabilities, also the ability to predict the yields and also measure them. And all these are there in BARC. As with, of course, we take collaboration from DRDO and explosive ballistics. So as I wrote in this paper in 2008, the carefully planned series of tests carried out by us gave us the capability to design confidently and build nuclear weapons with low yield sub-kilotons up to about 200 kilotons. Of course, since then there is a continuous development in both BRC and in DRDO. Next slide. See, this was a Venn diagram prepared by a couple of Americans soon after our test. Whenever two circles interact, there has been sharing of nuclear weapons knowledge. UK and US have always worked together. Collaboration between US and France, US and France with Israel, Israel and South Africa, Russia with China, China with India. And they realized that India stands alone. We didn't have to spy on any country to get knowledge, nor request for knowledge from any country, because we have all the capabilities we had within the country. Next slide. See, coming back to this international collaboration, I'll give you two examples. One is the Large Hadron Collider. This was an agreement I signed when I was chairman AEC. Now it is, of course, very advanced. It made a lot of news some time back when it got the signatures of the Higgs boson, which is the missing particle in the standard model of the nucleus. And they finally caught the God particle. I don't, of course, accept all that. Now, if you are a believer, every particle is a God particle. See, when you know the Einstein equation is equal to mc squared. If you fission uranium and look at the products, there is a mass deficit. And that mass converts into energy E is equal to mc squared. The good old Einstein equation. But suppose I destroy energy, I must get mass. You read it in reverse, Einstein equation. This means that when two particles collide at sufficiently high energy, they must produce new particles. This is how they do high energy experimental physics. Higgs boson was a missing particle in the standard model of the nucleus. 130, 150 times the mass of the proton. So particles which can produce the Higgs boson had to collide at least 4 tera electron volts. Mega electron volt, giga electron volt, then tera electron volts. That is why the Large Hadron Collider was made in CERN. It is a tunnel 100 meters below the ground, 26 kilometers in circumference, with two orbits, protons that are hadrons. They are moving in opposite directions. Once in a while they are brought together and they collide. When they collide, energy disappears and mass, as I said, appears. To produce the Higgs boson, they have to go to, as I said, 4 to 7 tera electron volts. And one of the detectors, in fact, the detector we saw it was also, you know, when the protons move in a circle in a very focused manner, charged particle, proton, bent by dipole magnet, but has to be focused by corrector magnets. So all the 1800 corrector magnets, sextupole, octupole, decapole, was supplied by India. That's what meant our contribution of $40 million worth of equipment. And TFR was a leader for one detector, Alice. For Alice, it was variable energy cyclotron center. I'm sure Some people from Bhubaneswar might also have been involved in either from here or the Institute of Physics, which is your neighboring center. In the eta, which is fusion energy. So I said E is equal to mc square. Either you break up a heavy nucleus, fission a heavy nucleus like uranium 235, for example, or you bring light isotopes, hydrogen and deuterium and tritium, isotopes of hydrogen, and fuse them. When it happens, of course, you need very high energies for this to happen. There is a mass deficit, and that is how fusion energy is produced. And India has an institution in Gandhinagar, Institute of Plasma Research, and that is participating in ITER. Of course, other contributions are coming from BARC also. International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, 7 major countries are involved, including India and France. And one of the major contributions from India was the whole cryostat in which this tokamak or the donut-shaped magnetic confinement fusion device is located was built in India by L&T Hazira under the guidance of the Institute of Plasma Research. The base has already been installed at the ITER. Next slide. See, this is how it looks like. 30 meters in diameter, 30 meters in height. Largest cryostat ever built in the world. Next slide. See, there are many areas in which India has now. This is nanoelectronics, which was mentioned. You know, when I was PSA earlier, 2003 or 4, Mr. Arun Shauri was the Minister for Electronics. And there was an annual meet of the Department of Electronics. I was supposed to give the keynote talk. And Arun Shauri ji was supposed to inaugurate. He said, let Chidambaram talk first, then I'll inaugurate. So in my talk, I said, we missed the microelectronics revolution. We should not miss the nanoelectronics revolution. When his chance came to speak, he said, PSI says we shouldn't miss the nanoelectronics revolution. But I asked him, what is he doing about it? Then I said, I'll meet you. And I told him, give me 100 crores. And after transparent brainstorming, I'll set up 2 places. And these 2 were selected after the availability of faculty and industry support, the ability to build a very complex equipment that is needed. And we selected Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore and IIT Bombay. Now these are among the world's best centers. There's also an Indian National Users Program. I'm sure IIT Bhubaneswar people are also using it because something like 700 institutions are using it. A lot of work has been done and they also have very big international collaboration. Next. Indian Knowledge Network, which was mentioned, is also a suggestion came from our office, accepted by the PMO. They granted 1,500 crores for this. So the idea was, because I wanted a research and education network, not for common use for other places, but connect all the knowledge institutions together. That has been done. Backbone is the 1,600 knowledge institutions. There are super pops, which is shown in this diagram. They are connected. They are scalable. 10 giga, and now it has gone way above that, 10 GPS and above, gone beyond that. And also from the super pops, it will go to all the various institutions which are shown here within the country. And it is run by MIT, National Informatics Center. Director has money. And this is also internationally connected. Trans-Eurasian Network, GIANT in France, French network, Internet 2, US. And we have our own POPs in places like Geneva, Amsterdam, and Singapore. That POPs owned by us. Our grid Optical fiber goes there, and from there we have the ability to connect it. You know, this is a quote from Noah Harari. He wrote his second book, Homo Deus, first was Homo sapiens. And he makes an interesting statement. Humans nowadays completely dominate the planet not because they are smarter than the chimp or the wolf, but because Homo sapiens is the only species on Earth capable of cooperating flexibly in large numbers. No other animal species is able to do that. And this cooperation, foundation for that, is provided by communication. First the language, then the telephone, and so on, then the mobile, and now optical fiber networks. Next slide. Of course, now also we have got supercomputers. Availability is also increased. Supercomputer built by Bach gone to more than 2 petaflops. Next. See, many other areas India has done well. Of course, these are continuous problems. Cyber security, for example. And very important, from commerce to science, everywhere, big projects, transport systems. You have to make them safe so that people don't enter the networks and attack them. There are cyber attackers, hackers, intruders. Of course, we are trying to make them stronger using artificial intelligence and machine learning, but they are also learning to use them. And of course, much effort is going. NDRO, for instance, National Technical Research Organization, is an organization, is a national nodal agency, also in respect of critical information infrastructure protection. And our office has set up these sets in China, Society for Electronic Transactions and Security, working in frontline fields like AI, machine learning, blockchain, quantum cryptography. When will quantum computers come? Nobody knows. 10 years? And if and when it comes, it can break any RSA code based on normal supercomputers. So we have also got to work on what is called post-quantum cryptography. SETS has prepared a report, CyberSec 4AL. Under this committee was under the chairmanship of Professor Balraman, IIT, Ravindra Balraman, IIT Madras. Next slide. I said India's technology needs range from nuclear to rural. This is the chain. Research, development, delivery. In the case of industrial development, it is a development segment which is weak. Delivery is done by industries, research and academic institutions. But we have to develop these interfaces, and this is what we have done it in a number of cases. But in the case of rural, delivery is the problem. And Root.org was started by my office when I was there in very early 2003-04. Is an open platform innovation strategy. In fact, IIT Jodhpur is holding the first meeting was held by Professor S.K. Saha in IIT Delhi, International Conference on Rural Technology Development and Delivery. Next one is going to be March 4th to 6th in IIT Jodhpur. If any of you are interested, you can surely participate in that. It's an open platform innovation strategy. Knowledge transfer. There is a thing called knowledge brokering. I'll tell you in a moment what it is. Scaling of innovations. See, technology transfer sometimes was a biogas plant. Transfer is the right answer, but in many cases, technology, rural development technology, because different areas have different resources, different requirements, different kind of skills. That's why I coined the phrase concept transfer. Technology transfer wherever possible. If not, transfer the concept. There are enough smart guys on the other side. They can re-innovate. the term I coined, re-innovation, using local resources, local requirements, local skills. And also, in the rural technology delivery, I've said a quality of life of a person near the poverty line is a very non-linear function of his income. Suppose he earns 100 rupees, just as a nominal. 90 rupees goes on survival. His quality of life is proportional to 10 rupees. Suppose I double his income. Quality of life goes up by 1 order of magnitude. You double my income or double your professor's income, your director's income. Only their bank balance will increase. Quality of life will not change. Same transport, same housing, same food, same entertainment, same education for their children. Next slide. This is the part of this academia industry interaction. We had started it, now it has gone to a very good stage under Professor Vijay Raghavan. I've got this slide from Arun Bharadwaj, and there are several clusters. There are 6 clusters they have created, and the areas are shown here. And one of them is in Bhubaneswar, located mainly at KIIT, but I think IIT Bhubaneswar is a very active player in this SNT cluster. Next slide. So I talked to you about the rural part, the intermediate interface between research and delivery. And it has to be technology specific. One of the things we took up was machine tools. So we had funded a project in IIT Madras, Professor Ramesh Babu, mechanical engineering, to make a world's best grinding machine tool. And this is what they made, this group. And this has been so successful. And they had an industry partner, Micromatics. The Ministry of Heavy Industry has created an advanced manufacturing center there, and maybe funded something like 10 projects in IIT Madras in that technology park. Next one. This is, I was talking to you about knowledge brokering. And knowledge brokering, what these Harvard Business School guys say is that most innovations are old innovations which have been packaged for a new environment. You see, I went to DRDO lab in Pune, one of the DRDO labs, and they were building bridges for our army when they are advancing into enemy territory. Both footbridges and bridges for tanks. And they are foldable, can be erected from one end, which was a great advantage. So I said, can you do it for this? Because if I go to Uttarakhand, very closely involved for rural technology development in Uttarakhand with Dr. One of the colleagues there. They have a lot of ravines there. Anil Joshi, sorry. How can I forget? Dr. Anil Joshi. Now, there are a lot of these small ravines there. And this happened just after that big Uttarakhand floods. Created a lot of damage. But this kind of ravines are there even otherwise. And the farmers live on one side and the lands on the other side. And the women with their backpack, you might have seen those backpacks, carry the produce from the farm. They go down into the ravine and come up. Sometimes there is water there. And the poor women don't even know where they are putting their foot. So I said we must build these bridges so that, and the first one we built in HESCO, Anil Joshi heads this HESCO, Himalayan Environmental Studies and Conservation Organization, in a place called Baghi, 4 hours north of Uttarakashi. So in fact, I inaugurated this bridge, 2000, 2016. It was financed by Amar Ujala Group, San Ganga Bridge. And it is working very well. We called it the women's bridge because mainly it is used by women. Now they are very happy that don't have to get into that ravine and go up. Next time. See, let me come back. India of our dreams is an India, as I said, which is economically developed, where the human development index is high, scientifically advanced, a knowledge economy, an RDI ecosystem with excellence in basic research, including what I call directed basic research, applied research. Directed basic research is not applied research. Somebody is interested, I'll explain. Technology development, R&D led innovation, backed by high quality manufacturing. All knowledge is useless unless you produce value out of it. Manufacture. Uniquely, we are now an economically developing country where parts of the S&T system are very highly developed. Space and nuclear, some areas of defense, knowledge, chemicals. But we also need an appetite for risk taking. Very often, many people say, we want to go only for knowledge technology. And I tell them, knowledge technologies, I'll say it again in the next slide, knowledge technologies, proven technologies are a synonym for obsolete technology. You must take risk, even in your career. You have to take risk. After due diligence, after proper study of its usefulness, safety, all those things you must do. In fact, Phil Rosenweis in the book, this idea is brilliant. Talking of technology development, he says, when it comes to technological breakthroughs or launching new products, it is better to act and fail than fail to act. If you're too careful, you will not go anywhere. If you're going to hang on to the coattails of somebody, that's not the dream of our young people, or even of not so young people. Abhijit Banerjee, Nobel laureate, talks. He was listening to a lecture and he showed this slide, the risk and poverty trap. He says, poor people take up low risk, low return projects because they fear the risk, so they remain poor. The same is true for research. If you are going to do very safe research, results assured, because this is something the funding agencies must also note too. You will do good results, not great results. And we need leaders. So let me conclude my talk. To be present in the frontiers of science and technology, I coined the phrase coherent synergy. This requires phase and space synchronization. You can't develop capability at one part of the country, whereas the need in another part of the country. You can't develop the capability before or after the requirement. To do it too much before, it dies down. Later, then of course you got delays. That's what I've said, space-time synchronization. Of course, in the knowledge economy, we want both a technology superstructure and the foundation of higher education and basic research. Many examples of this. You can't build a technology superstructure without a foundation of basic research. No, there's a story about the Manhattan Project when they are trying to solidify plutonium. Plutonium is a very strange metal. When it solidifies in the delta phase at 15 grams per cc, 300 degrees or so. Cool down to room temperature, goes to alpha phase, 19 grams per cc. So what do? You solidify at one phase, increase its density, solidify at higher temperature, increase its density, it will become porous, non-usable in a nuclear weapon. So I went and asked Cyril Stanley, Mr. Metallurgist, He was not interested in nuclear weapons. He said, add 3% of gallium, it will never go to the alpha phase. Basic research man. He had studied the phase diagrams of actinides, metallurgists. So you must have accessible to you, if you are doing technology development or within your own organization, who can provide answers to unanticipated problems that arise or know how to solve them. So I think I'll stop here. Thank you. I'm through, sir.
Thank you, sir. It is an honor to hear about the achievements in the field of science and technology from one of the pioneers of revolutionary Indian nuclear programs like Operation Shakti and Smiling Buddha. Now, I would like to call upon our director sir to felicitate the chief guest with a memento. I also request the other dignitaries to accompany.
Want to say something?
But it's a great talk. So enlightening us on various aspects, starting from rural technologies to advances and advanced technologies. The whole audience is spellbound listening to the talk. As a small token of appreciation, we'd like to present you an Angavastra and a memento. So in the form of a logo of this institute, kindly accept these. These will be sent to you
Thank
by
you.
May.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sirs. I would now request our dignitaries to take their seats on the dais. Moving on, I would like to invite the Dean of Student Affairs to introduce the guest of honor for today's event.
Indeed, it's a great pleasure for me to introduce our guest of honor today, who is also happens to be our teacher. In the sense, he also is an adjunct professor in our school as an MEA. So, Professor Dhanush Mishra is graduate of Indian School of Mines, Dhanbad in 1964. And he got MTech in IIT Kharagpur in 1972 in mineral engineering. After 12 years of experience in industry, he joined IIT Kharagpur from 1977 to 1984. And he was professor at ISM Dhanbad, now is IIT Dhanbad. And he was also, after a stint of about 16 years at ISM Dhanbad, or IIT Dhanbad now, he became the director of CMRI, which is a CSR lab from 2000 to 2004. And he went back as a chairman BOG ISM Dhanbad, IIT Dhanbad. So right now he's presently is a chairman BOG, the Government College of Engineering Coventry, and from 2017 to 22. So there are several contributions from him, and so I take this opportunity to invite him and speak few words. Thank you.
respected dignitaries on the dais, respected dignitaries physically present on this auspicious occasion, and all respected dignitaries and other friends who are participating in this function in the virtual mode. In fact, after the very encouraging and enlightening address of Chidambaram ji, I have hardly much to add, but I take this occasion to recollect a few things about IITs in general and IIT Bhubaneswar in particular, which are being forgotten and may not be known by the younger generations. For example, the original proposal for IIT Bhubaneswar was made in 1948, when the foundation stone for the new capital was being laid. Those who have gone through the history of IITs may recall that in 1946, Dr. Humayun Kabir, along with Sir Joginder Singh of Viceroy's Executive Council, had set up a committee to prepare a proposal for an Institute of Higher Learning and made Sir Nanoelectronics Sarkar the chairman. The 22-member committee never completed the report, but they had given an interim report recommending the establishment of 4 institutes of higher learning in East, West, South and North, among which the Institute for the East was to be given priority. Since the proposed new capital of Orissa had enough vacant space available, Dr. H.K. Mahtab, the then Chief Minister of Orissa, offered to give as much space as needed at a place of choice of Nanoelectronics Sarkar Committee. Had that been accepted, probably we would have got the IIT at Palaspalli or somewhere, close to the modern airport. But Dr. B.C. Roy became the Chief Minister of West Bengal in 1948. He did not want to wait for the committee to finalize its reports and wanted to start working on the interim draft itself immediately. He suggested the then Hijli Jail as the campus where the institute could be started immediately without waiting for any land or building. Anything else can be added later. That is how the first IIT was born in May 1950 at the side of the Hijli detention camp in Kharagpur. And it was an important office for a long time. This is in 1950. When I joined IIT Kharagpur as a student in 1969, the postgraduate classes of the Department of Chemical Engineering were being held in the rooms in Hijli Jail. Of course, our department was the only one which was having class there. But registrar office was in Hijli Jail. This continued. It was continuing till 1977 when I joined there as a faculty member. But by 1980, everything had moved out. The Hijli Jail was decided to become a museum and that sort of thing. And about IIT Bhubaneswar, there have been demands from time to time without much effect. In 2000, I do not remember the exact year, in 2000 or 2001, around that time, you might be remembering, when Roorkee University was made an IIT. And after that, there were demands, renewed demands for an IIT in Bhubaneswar, And another such demand was in Jharkhand, where I used to work. They wanted IIT Ranchi because that was a new state being formed. And in 2003 December, Government of India agreed in principle, and Dr. Murali Manohar Joshi had made an announcement that IIT Bhubaneswar will be established. He had made about some other IITs also, but not IIT Ranchi, which was the demand of people of Jharkhand. However, in the Union Budget of 2004-2005, which was presented in July 2004, there was no provision for any IIT. And this must have created some ripples other parts of India. But in Orissa, as the state ranked at the bottom in terms of centrally funded academic and research institutions, there were strong resentments against the Congress-led central government's neglect. There were several incidents of protest, but they were not really strong enough to move the central government. However, there were similar protests elsewhere in India, as a result of which, in August 2007, the Prime Minister of India announced the establishment of 8 new IITs, including Bhubaneswar. The institute started admission in 2008, though there was no campus, no faculty, and even no formal rules about the institute. As our director, Professor Ajay Kumar, pointed out, everything was done at IIT Kharagpur, where Professor Acharya was the director and he was the mentoring director for this IIT. However, the institute was operating from a number of locations within the city, which included Extension Center of IIT Kharagpur, Tosali Bhavan, Workshop cum Laboratory Complex near IIT Kharagpur Extension Center, IIMT, Central Tool Room, and quite a few other such places. But from 2008 onwards, the institute has made great strides, which is there for all of you to see. As the director pointed out in his address, Government of Orissa allotted 936 acres of government land, and I understand they're acquiring some more land to make all the land contiguous. I do not know how far they have proceeded, but I hope it will be done in due course. And the 4-lane access road from National Highway and the provision of water and electricity, all these things were moving quite fast by Government of Orissa, and I must congratulate the administration of IIT as well as Government of Orissa for all this achievement. The campus construction was inaugurated on 14th August 2011 by the then Chief Minister, present Chief Minister, Mr. Naveen Patnaik. And IIT Bhubaneswar is probably the only IIT which has got suitable land near the coast for establishment of a marine research center. Is there any other IIT? I don't think. Probably this is the only one. And this is a great opportunity which should be utilized. Well, what has been happening after that, all of you have been seeing, and comparison with other institutes may not be fair, maybe to our institute or to them, whatever it is. But a few things must be noted because only good things can be made better. A few days back, I was comparing the placements of graduates of IIT Bhubaneswar and my old alma mater IIT Dhanbad. So, of course, this is definitely very unfair comparison because it is for the period of the pandemic. In all matters, that is percentage of students placed through campus interview, average package offered to the students through campus interview, and the highest package offered, in all matters, IIT Bhubaneswar was 2 to 3% above IIT Dhanbad. So, that's a very good thing and we must keep it up. But, again, I must say my information is more than 2 years old because the last 2 years I have not been moving out much. Earlier, whenever I met the concerned executives of Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Department of Science and Technology, Board of Research in Nuclear Sciences, and R&D officers of Ministries of Coal, Steel and Mine, they complained that the number of research proposals from IIT Bhubaneswar could be much more. And bigger in size also, not just by way of individual projects, much bigger projects. Then I asked, well, have you sanctioned all the projects they have given so far? They said, no, that is not the case. But one thing they said is that the percentage of projects sanctioned from IIT Bhubaneswar compared to their proposal is higher than many of the old IITs. And one of them told better than IIT Kanpur. I do not know whether it is right or wrong, but the fact is that they have got good impression, good idea about IIT Bhubaneswar, which you must encash. Apart from that, you see the government policies on all aspects are governed by the proposals given by IITs and other such institutes. For example, in 1980, when I was in IIT Kharagpur, which was a very big IIT and so on, it was IIT Kanpur which was being consulted by the government of India for policies in information technology. But they had not made any supercomputer. Supercomputers, if any, were made by little later by BRC and some CSR laboratories and so on. But these people were continuously interacting and interacting for what? Asking for grants. And that is how IIT Kanpur had come to the position of being best known IIT for information technology policies of Government of India. Of course, I had similar experience at the then ISM Dhanbad, now IIT Dhanbad, in the field of mineral industry, where a lot of policies, including nationalization first of coking coal and then non-coking coal, were initiated at Dhanbad, Indian School of Mines. But that is an unfair comparison because it was specializing in only one field and they have been working in that since 1926. But the fact remains that IIT Bhubaneswar has a lot of scope to move further ahead much faster, and all of you must take advantage of it. With the pandemic that crippled most of your activities during the last 2 years, hopefully coming to an end in a few months, I hope all the students and staff of IIT Bhubaneswar will work with renewed vigor to take the institute to new heights of excellence. With the best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for your motivating words, sir. I would now like to request our Honorable Director to felicitate the guest of honor with a memento.
I would like to thank you for the piece of history and piece of advice. Indeed, the percentage of success in the project proposals is high at this institute. That's a fact. And also the number is less, as you said. So we are trying to improve upon this. It has the highest number of Spark project approvals amongst all the second generation IITs. And similarly, on a number of such endeavors, the institute is rising very fast on such activities. Thank you very much for reminding us about the need for further improvement. Thank you.
I'll go after this. We'll all go. Monday.
Next, I would like to request Professor Dhanush Mishra of Faculty and Planning to deliver the vote of thanks.
It's my privilege. It's my true privilege to be asked for giving a vote of thanks. I take this opportunity to thank our chief guest, Dr. R. Chidambaram, for giving so many fundamental things in this Foundation Day. One thing that struck at least to me was how do you develop through collaborations? And if we take an example of one of the developed country in the world, which is US, I would argue the best thing that they have done through collaborations to have the best talents from all over the world to their country. So thank you, sir, again for those insightful comments, particularly giving us a tour from Dr. C.V. Raman to all the way to the modern world that we are now. We appreciate that very much. And again, thanks also to our guest of honor, Professor Mishra, for giving a history of IIT Bhubaneswar, which was missed then, and what we should not miss in the future. Appreciate very much. Professor Acharya, you are always have been here, and we thank your presence here. Dr. Mehta and his team taking so much of your time to be with us. We really appreciate all your presence for today's event. We thank our director, Professor R.V. Rajakumar, for guiding all of us for this day's function. Thank you, sir. There are many behind the scenes, so it will not be possible to mention all of them, but I will just mention few. Register Mr. Debra Roth and his entire team, engineering sections, CITS team, in fact, all the staff, students, and faculty. This has been a wonderful day, and I'm sure you will enjoy the rest of the day. But the last but not the least, Professor B.V. Satyam, who has been the key person of organizing this event. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to the end of the morning session for today's event.
We
We would-
request all awardees to come to the dais for their photograph. Awardees? Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And once again, hearty congratulations to all the awardees. So that brings us to the end of the morning session for today's event. There will be a robotics exhibition by Robotics and Intelligent Systems Club from 3 p.m. in the Pushpagiri Lecture Hall complex. So everyone is invited to attend it.
We also take pleasure in inviting everyone to the cultural evening starting from 6:30 p.m. Thank you everyone for your presence here. We would like to express our gratitude to everyone who joined us virtually. Thank you.